Third down and 20.
What is going on? Welcome back. 3rd and 20 podcast. And like an actual welcome back because took a little bit of a hiatus here after the live auction draft.
Yeah, how was the bid?
I got struck with COVID, and it kind of sucked, to be honest. I'm not going to lie.
I bet.
I think COVID got the dub there. We were doing good at first, but then, dude, come that second half, man, COVID, their offense was relentless. Defense was on our heels. We were struggling out there.
They made adjustments in the clubhouse during that
we
time.
just, our defense just could not get off the field. I'll put it like that. Our defense was on the field a lot of that second half. And speaking of being on the field in the second half, when I post this tomorrow, it'll be right before the football game. But God damn it, we have football.
Yeah, we're finally back.
Finally, we are back, man. Whew, it couldn't have come soon enough. So I guess really quickly, we could talk about that game. I mean, it's like a preview. I imagine a lot of people are going to listen to this after the game. I don't know what to think for that game. It's an interesting game. Like, I think the spread's 8 right now.
It is an 8. Yeah,
you're the guy who's got the primetime picks. Who do you think you're going to go with, or do you not know yet?
I'm leaning more Cowboys just because, first week, 8 points is a lot. I know the Bucs have all this returning talent. I know Zach Martin's not playing. That's tough too. And also, again, it's on the road for the Cowboys. But it's something about Thursday night, and you give me Dak Prescott, you give me a fighting chance. That's the thing. I don't need the Cowboys to win.
I was thinking Cowboys spread at first. I think now I'm more leaning Bucs again, just because I don't know why I'm struggling to really buy into that Cowboys team.
I'm not buying into it. It's still a really weird night. Remember, underdogs are king in Thursday games for some reason. And, Zach Martin being out is really tough for the Cowboys because, the Bucs, that defensive line is going to be, Jesus Christ, it's going to be stacked, just like during the playoff run. And they added, Joe Tyrone from the first round. You put him in the mix now. So, and we also don't know about the Cowboys defense. We know they've made a lot of moves. We know they hired Dan Quinn. Is that going to be enough?
I think it has to be better. I feel like it's tough to take a step down. I will say this. I am kind of getting that feeling. Well, it was 2 years ago, I think it was, that Saints-Cowboys game where it's a primetime game. Saints are a touchdown favorite. A lot of people are riding on them. They have the momentum, but that Cowboys team came out primetime game. I think it was a Thursday night game, too.
It was.
And they got a dub.
Yeah,
and
they
I
did.
remember you took a money line, and that was a good money line because they were like plus 200 or over that, or it was.
Well, that's when
they
I
were
was
getting
back.
some real disrespect.
That's when I was back like a low key Cowboys fan, so that might have been like more of a fan bet. But it's just something about Dak. At the end of the day, if you have a quarterback like Dak, your team has a fighting chance.
Yeah, that's the thing. 8 points, like it really feels like 8 points at Dak, but at the same time, you're going against the number one rule: don't bet against the GOAT.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, if you're thinking the Bucs are going to beat them by 2 scores, right? Then let's say the Cowboys get, just one of those last-minute touchdowns that backdoor cover. You're in the zone for that. It's like if you remember the football team and the playoffs were around the same. I think it was like 8.5 or so. And that's what they did. They just kept on, backdoor covering. Like the Bucs would go up 15 points, they score, keep it 8, and then, there you go. Mm-hmm. And, besides the defensive side of the ball for the football team, I think the Cowboys offense is, better than that. I don't know. Who knows?
Interesting game. I'm hoping for a close game because I think the general concern is kind of another Super Bowl happening where the Bucs just kind of start throttling. Dak Prescott's just under fire the whole day, but we'll see what happens. I'm so excited. But let's get into the actual game previews. So we're going to be making the picks later in the week. We're going to have a video come out Friday or Saturday on our picks for the week, but we're going to be going over the previews for the games, kind of some of the storylines and what we're looking for, expecting to happen. Game number 1. We have the Seahawks at the Colts. Some of the first thing I'm looking at and the first storyline that I want to see answered is how Shane Waldron's offense is going to look for the Seattle Seahawks, because there's been a lot of talk, another offensive coordinator change in Seattle. They went from, the Seahawks were running too much, we got to let Russell Wilson loose, to, okay, well, our offense was too Russell Wilson just throw the ball downfield. It was too predictable.
Mm-hmm.
To, okay, well, what do you want now? What's Shane Waldron gonna do? I do think that the Seahawks offense has low key added talent. You're not getting the talk, right? Because it's nothing flashy, but you add a guy like Dwayne Eskridge, you pick up a guy like Gerald Everett, former second round pick, slowly but surely trying to add little value pieces on your offensive line. Kind of like the low key additions, I think, really could add up to make this offense more consistent throughout the season, and that does kind of start this week. So, what do you think you're expecting out of the Seahawks offense?
Oh, well, this is a first 5 week, beginning of the season. Russ looks like he's the clear away MVP candidate winner.
Yeah, it's gonna happen again.
Yeah, I think it's just going to happen again. But I don't know. The Colts defense is a little tough. I think I expect a little more balanced attack. Chris Carson's coming in here pretty healthy. And if we're just pinning first games together, last year when they were playing Atlanta, like Chris Carson was able to do everything, run, catch, and then he gets stinked up. I would expect to see Chris Carson get involved pretty early because he could be a nice little weapon. Other than that, I just think Russ will be Russ. Like, he's not going to go out there and lose you the game. More than likely, he's going to go out there and make a last-minute drive to win the game. I think the more story I'm looking forward to in this game is Carson Wentz,
Yeah, there's the next one for the Colts, right? Like, Carson Wentz, first start. What's going to happen? I think the first thing needs to be answered is, did you know anything on the injury reports going on? Like, is Carson Wentz ready to go?
I haven't seen anything where he hasn't said he's not playing. I will look real quick.
I know, I'm pretty sure he's playing. Like, they're
I'm
gearing
pretty
him
sure
up
he's
ready
good
to
to go.
play. But is it Carson Wentz playing through injury to start the season, right? Because okay, everyone's playing hurt.
Yeah.
Halfway, 2/3 of the way through the season, everyone's got nicked up, but Carson Wentz may be starting nicked up. I don't really know what to expect out of this Colts offense. The big thing that you need is just get the run game going, right? Let's just get Jonathan Taylor pounding. It's a Seahawks defense that, while they struggled a lot more against the pass because those linebackers are pretty damn good for Seattle. Can the Colts develop a run game? And then into the passing game, what's the Colts receiver situation? Is that question finally going to be answered? Or I actually don't think it's going to be answered. I think you're going to see one of two things. What I'm expecting it not getting answered is it's just a freaking clown fiesta to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Not a clown fiesta, but you remember a lot of those Saints offenses where Drew Brees is spreading the ball around to 10 guys.
Yeah.
I think that's the offense that they want. It's they obviously have the great running game, but they have so many different pieces that they're okay, let's just sprinkle it around so defenses can't really expect what's coming. And the only consistent thing is Carson Wentz is touching the ball and Jonathan Taylor is getting 90 yards, 100 yards a game, right? Or we see one guy kind of step up. And to me, that one guy, I know the popular answer, you're going to have a lot of people say Pittman. I think it's Paris Campbell.
Yeah, Paris Campbell.
To me, I think it's Paris Campbell because we saw at least week 1 of last year. He just hasn't been able to play healthy. So what's going to happen there? I expect more of the first than the latter.
Yeah, they do kind of have a messy receiver room. I know they brought back T.Y., but, how much is he going to do? He's pretty old up there. I think, the Colts just need their number one advantage is they got a beast at running back, and you got Nyheim Hines, who's a good little, receiver. Just game plan around those two. Use your strength, use your O-line, run the ball, and let Carson Wentz, start him off easy. Let him settle in because, if you're acting like this is the Carson Wentz number 2 overall pick, you're just throwing him back into the fire, and I think that's how he could lose a lot of confidence quick.
I actually disagree with that, though, because here's what I want to see. If you remember last season against Washington, the Eagles started out, right? And the Eagles got up pretty big early. They got up like 14-0 early, and then after that, their offense sucked the rest of the season, right? I want to see, and I'm pretty sure that they either had a deep ball work to Rager or Rager dropped a deep ball early, something along the lines of that, right? Where Carson Wentz kind of came out and was firing early. Give me that. I want to see the Colts come out here and attack the Seattle Seahawks secondary, and really dude, the Seahawks pass rush kind of sucked for a lot of last season. You finally started to get something kind of at the end.
Yeah, when they got Dunlap.
I understand the whole, okay, let's start it off easy. Let's build Carson Wentz's confidence. Well, to me, dude, I want to fucking fire right away. You want to build confidence. Let's score the first play.
I'm sure he wants to, and the fans do too. But remember, he is dealing with this injury or hasn't had game reps because we would have seen him in preseason, and we didn't get to see him in preseason. So, I don't know. Carson Wentz could have his confidence back, and he could be just ripping it at camp.
Or you know what I might take? I think I might bet on that. Dude, Paris Campbell, first touchdown. Or a long touchdown. If there's a long touchdown prop, that would be pretty cool.
You could probably get a Colts over touchdown catch for
Is there an over under on first touchdown yards? First touchdown over 40 yards?
I'm sure, but I don't know where you're going to find the book at.
Because that's what I would want to take. First touchdown over 40 yards. I think that the Colts are going to – one of these teams, because Russell Wilson's got a phenomenal deep ball, they're going to come out firing. Or any last things? I mean, we kind of touched on everything I wanted to touch on. What's the offense going to look like? Seattle's defense, right? Mainly the pass defense, because I'm very confident in those linebackers. But what are we going to see out of the secondary with no Griffin, right? You're gonna have.
They lost him,
and they just traded Witherspoon to Pittsburgh. So it's what the hell is going on in that secondary?
And they don't have what's his name, Trey Flowers. Shout out.
Is he not playing?
I don't think they have him anymore. Do they?
No, I'm pretty sure Trey Flowers is still on the team. I was looking at their depth chart earlier, so maybe I'm wrong. If you want to check that real quick, I think that's it. So I'm gonna move on here. Yeah, we got everything. Yeah, I'm going to move on here. Second game, you talk about a great football game here. This is one of the ones that I want to see. Texans versus Jaguars.
I thought you were about to say Chiefs versus Browns or something.
Yeah, really hyped it up. You see, you like getting some switches up. This is an interesting football game, though, mainly because, everyone thinks that the Texans are throwing in the towel, right? Every week, someone new is getting traded for a day 3 pick or whatever draft pick they can really get for any player on their team, it seems like. But, and the big but here is, the big but. Speaking of, big but, like that? Had that on deck. The Texans have a lot of new faces, especially on their defense. Is it going to matter? I have no idea. But their defense, their defense was terrible last year.
It's horrible.
Every single team was getting 150 yards on the ground, averaging 5.5 yards per carry. It was like watching a college defense. And they had a couple good players. But they were just getting bullied up front. Their D-backs weren't great. But now they have a whole lot of new players. I'm not going to go into it, but almost every single position has a new face at it, aside from Cunningham and Reed. Every position's different. It can only go up? Can it get worse?
I think it can get a lot worse.
You think so?
If you're really picking these people up, I don't know. I can't name you 3 players on that defense.
Oh, they picked up Desmond King. They have they have that dude from the Browns, the D-back. I mean, they have a lot of new players. If you go and look at the depth chart, you're like, oh, they got him. Oh, they got him. They got Malik Collins and stuff. I don't know. They got a couple players. They have new players at least. I just want to see that, especially because you're going up against the Jaguars team that has obviously a lot of new players. They don't have Travis Etienne, right?
Mhm.
If you're going to pick up a win and get your Texans season off to any sort of start, you'd want it to happen in this game, and this would be a big game to happen for it to happen. I'm not expecting it, but the Texans defense, maybe not the worst in the league. We can go to their offense, actually, which I do think has some hope. Tyrod Taylor, you got him, veteran quarterback. He looked all right in the preseason. I was watching a little bit of what he did. Looks a little bit more comfortable, I feel like. I mean, it is the preseason. There's really no nerves, but he looked kind of comfortable.
I mean, Tyrod Taylor's not a like Texans. If I was a Texans fan coming in this season, I would think we'd win like maybe 1 or 2 games this year and just get blown out every time. I think Tyrod Taylor is a good like little handcuff where like he at least might keep you competitive because he's going to be able to game manage to the most part. Because like when he played for the Bills, he was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, because I look at this Texans offense and I look at the pieces and I think that I was underrating their offense a little bit.
Mm.
I don't think it's going to be great, but realistically, they look pretty average. Like not average, under average, right? They look pretty, but right now their offense and defense are pegged to be basically very last in the league in both, and
Oh, I think
I
so.
think they are kind of getting unfairly judged in that department, especially for this week, because I am seeing everyone and their mother pick the Jags, and this is a divisional game. It's a Jaguars team. We both like the Jaguars.
I do too, but like you still got rookie playing first
I don't
game.
think I'm picking this game.
Oh, I'm
For
not
either
taking
team.
anything.
I'm not betting on the fucking Texans.
I'm
No
not taking
shot.
Yeah, no, I'm not. If I don't want to take the Jags, then I'm just not going to bet it because, like, first of all, Jags -3 is like you could convince yourself like
There's
yeah,
a
that's
bait
pretty
there.
good.
You know that's a bait. How is that
Yeah,
a
like
field
it's
goal
just
game? -3,
it,
-4, something like that.
I don't know. It's weird. Oh, and both new coaches too. Like I feel like that's just a game you need to stay away from. Like I'll watch a little bit of it because I want to watch T-Law, but
Yeah.
like. Other than that, like I think the Jags hands down have the better roster, but is it going to win them the game? I don't know because like not in week 1, not so like sometimes the best roster doesn't win week 1. If you look last year, the Jags beat the Colts, and then they went on to lose 15 straight.
Yep. I mean, it's week 1 football, right? That's why. I mean, we're going to be reacting to the college games later, but that's why you don't want to overreact. So, major key for me is, obviously, it's centered around the Texans defense because that's the group that I'm honestly most interested in. Everyone's going to be saying, obviously, the Jags offense, but in terms of the Jags offense, can you run the football again? Because that's how you beat the Texans. You ran it down their throat. They couldn't stop anyone. James Robinson, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor were all going for like 150 yards guaranteed every one of those games. Is that going to be the same story again? Are they just going to get bullied up front? Or
do these new
is it
people
just going to
come in?
be an under average run defense? Because if the Texans have been able to upgrade their run defense from almost historically bad to just under average with a rookie quarterback. I mean, I think T-Law is going to make his plays, but he's not. I don't think he's going to be consistent out there necessarily, unless your defense really sucks. You have a chance. I think they definitely have a chance, and I think they're home too. I don't know if that helps. I'm not sure if any Texans fans are showing up. Next game,
showing up to watch Philip Lindsay, the 3-headed monster of Philip Lindsay, and David Johnson.
Okay, so actually, before we, do you have any other keys? I think we kind of touched on most of that. Maybe the Texans. Like other than the obvious ones, right? Because I don't really want to touch into like, okay, T-Law is playing.
I'd be like, I know Tyrod Taylor's not the best, passer of the football, but I would be like interested to see like, Nico Collins play some of these rookies. Maybe like
Brevin Jordan. I know a lot of people liked him at tight end.
Yeah. If I'm like a Texas fan, I'm just kind of looking into who we drafted this year and see if I can buy stock into him or not. Because you're not going to win, but like you can build.
Maybe a Davis Mills sighting at some point.
I would love some Davis Mills.
Let's go into the Battle of the Birds. Eagles Falcons. This is a game. You talk about a grinder of a football game. An absolute dude, because I'll bring the Dan Campbell quotes into it. Like, this is a kneecap biter. This
This
is a
game.
scrappy football game. Because like you always mention it, and I love to watch these football games where
They're fun.
defensive, grindy football game, and you get it week 1 again.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy putting into the Falcons saying they actually play a really well defensive game, but they show up for this game for some reason. But I mean, there's a lot of faces that have gone. It's since the last time this team played, or even because the last 3 games, you can look at it against the Eagles and Falcons. It's been the same exact game, with 2 of the same turnouts where the Falcons didn't convert on the last play of the game to win, and then finally on the third time they do convert on like a 4th and 2, and Julio takes it to the house. Then they almost blew it, but I'm still expecting the same low scoring, grindy game. Like 2 offenses. I think we have the upper hand because of Matt, first of all, at the end of the day. And I'm ready to see. Like, I think Dean Pease is going to be much more aggressive in the pass, creating pressure. So if you can disrupt Jalen Hurts early, because you guys still remember he's a young quarterback, make him uncomfortable. Then you got a shot. Same thing for the Eagles. You should be licking your chops whenever you see the Falcons O line. I mean, Fletcher Cox is going to have to go up against Jalen Mayfield, a rookie, so he should have a field day.
So yeah, one of the points you brought up is definitely one of my main points, right? Like Eagles O-line against Falcons D-line. 2 groups that last year just struggled. And 2 groups that have some hope. I think the Eagles O-line has a little bit more hope just because they get like a whole new slew of guys back off of injury, and a lot of them proven. And I like Landon Dickerson a lot, so I think he's gonna be a phenomenal player. But even on the Falcons defensive line, right? There's some hope. You got a new defensive coordinator.
You got some pieces.
Yeah, you guys had one of your draft picks has apparently been looking pretty good up front.
Yeah, the kid from Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I like that guy coming out. He was what is his name?
Is so I can't pronounce.
Yeah,
it.
it's tough to pronounce. Yeah, I thought he was like he's an interior guy, right?
No, he rushes from the outside.
He's going from the outside. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like I'm pretty sure I like the 91 on Notre Dame. I'm pretty sure he was. The one thing there's 2 things I don't like about this for the Falcons. First off is Kendall Sheffield, I saw just got put on IR today, which really sucks because I think that Kendall Sheffield is a very underrated, good little corner piece that can play on both the outside and the slot and would have been really good this year, especially not having to be the number 1 corner because you kind of figure you have that in AJ Terrell. That's what you drafted him to be. The other reason I like it is we still don't know what the hell we're going to get out of the Falcons run game. And that's kind of like my second point. Are the Falcons ever going to be able to run the ball again?
I don't know.
Once Shanahan left, it's been non-existent. And, like, really non-existent.
Especially under Dirk.
I don't even know the last time a Falcons running back has rushed for over 100 yards.
Gurley did it once last year.
Yeah, I figured Gurley did do it once, but it probably wasn't very pretty.
I think he did it against the Panthers or the Lions, one of those 2 teams. We lost either way, but like, I mean, yeah, I'm on the same boat. I like Mike Davis because he's a cheap little running back you can pick up, and he's a proven. He's kind of more of a vet now. He's proven himself. He had a really good year. But also that was a different system. Still don't know like how Arthur Smith's, his calling with Derrick Henry last year, of course, tremendous. Last 3 years he's been there was amazing to see, but he doesn't have Derrick Henry, and he doesn't have that O-line. Like the O-line is just not as good. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And to bring up the secondary with Kendall Sheffield, yeah, that's a big mess because, Isaiah Oliver is already like one of the worst corners in the league. Dude sucks. And also, like, the secondary is completely new. Like, pretty much. Safeties are completely new. You're starting a rookie in Richie Grant. I like him, but again, how fat is he going to make an immediate impact? I don't know. And then you're starting Jalen Hawkins. I think that's his name. Like he's shown at times he's been good, but at the end of the day, is this the guy? Like you
It's
don't
a
know.
rookie secondary, and that's a secondary that's been known to give up free touchdowns under not Dan Campbell. What's your coach's name? It's not the DC. Dan Quinn. There it is. I got the Dan
Quinn?
right. Um,
Other than that, I want to see Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts. That he's obviously going to be interesting. I want to see if Kyle Pitts can open up the field for the run game a little bit. Just because he is such a mismatch hazard, you always got to have an eye on him. And lastly, like I know that Jalen Hurts is a really popular quarterback start right now, because JT writes the start him, sit him. So if you're interested in that, check it out on thirdtone.com. And I know that Jalen Hurts is like a big start right now. Falcons defense, they suck. Dude, I am not confident in Jalen Hurts starting this week. I understand that the Falcons defense is young and a lot of people think they suck and he could go off, but dude, I know Dean Pease, and Dean Pease I think is going to confuse the shit out of him because dude, Dean Pease has some of the best defensive design I've ever seen. Some of that stuff that he did with the Titans a couple years ago was awesome. Really, really, really awesome. Really creative stuff. And I am not so sure that Jalen Hurts is going to go in there and have the field day that people are thinking. I don't know. It could happen. Maybe they just don't have an answer for Devontae Smith, or they don't have an answer for the tight ends. But if I'm going to pick an offense to go off, it's going to be the Falcons. It's not going to be the Eagles.
Yeah, you would think so, but it is Falcons football.
It's Falcons football.
I would, the game's at home. Right? I'm right about that. That's why we're favored in this. Yeah. So, like, they're going to be up. Grady Jarrett should have, he should be able to do his thing. I think the X factor in the D line is still Dante Fowler. Am I going to get Dante Fowler from the Rams, or am I going to get Dante Fowler from last year? He can't stay on the field and just basically was a blocking dummy,
I think I'd hit an under in this game. I think I would. Mm-hmm. I think I'm confident. Like, the more I'm thinking about it, and I do think that Jalen Hurts is going to get off to us. I'm just scared because Dean Pease is, dude, those defenses are awesome. And I hope that people tune into that game. Next game, Chargers against the Washington football team. This is definitely one of the most interesting games, if not the most interesting game of week one, because it's just two teams in different conferences that are both in the same spot, you figure, but for kind of different reasons. The Chargers, okay, well, you have a quarterback. Not that you haven't under Phillip Rivers. It's just, damn, that was quick. You already got another, franchise quarterback real quick. New coach, who I think we both like, and Brandon Staley from the Rams, their defensive coordinator. I think I've kind of pegged this as one of the better head coaching hires of the league because I feel like Brandon Staley kind of solves a lot of the problems, at least from a hypothetical standpoint of, okay, that defense kind of sucked in late in the games. And with Sean McVay, you talk about a guy that doesn't blow leads and fuck up games. Like, he's never lost when leading at halftime. So hopefully you get some of that with Brandon Staley here. And then you have the Washington football team, who's just, dude, they have a sick roster.
Yeah, I mean, that whole defense is sick.
Is nasty. I feel like the whole thing is just, is Fitzmagic the guy to kind of lead him to the promised land? Is Fitzmagic the dude? Like, are we going to get that Fitzmagic that we kind of saw in the Jets? And even a little bit last year where it's like, he's got the locker room, he is the guy? Or are we just going to get Fitztragic, right? Is he going to just go out there and start chucking picks?
Well, that's the key to the football team's offense, Is Fitzmagic going to show up, or is bad Fitzmagic going to play? But the same about Fitzmagic, like, the football team on offense has some weapons, with Scary Terry, Gibson, J.D. McKissick, even. Like, these are guys that are capable of making the big play, and Fitzmagic, is a capable guy of throwing the ball downfield. Someone that I don't think Scary Terry's had yet in his career. So those two mixed together could be pretty nice. Also, I don't know too much about the Chargers defense. I would think they'd get better under Staley, just based off his resume. But you know what the football team's defense is going to bring. I mean, that front seven is going to attack you, so that's going to be tough
Well,
for him.
the thing is that you add in the Florida State crew because you get healthy Derwin James, which is huge. Derwin James, man, that guy is insane. He is a freak. Still don't understand how he didn't go top 5 in the draft. And another dude that I don't know how he didn't get picked in the first round is Asante Samuel Jr. Because these are two D backs that I love. I know you really like Derwin James. I think you also like Asante Samuel Jr. a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Dude, you add these guys back to this defense. Holy smokes! You get Bosa, like Brad. We saw it with Brandon Staley. It's not like that defense doesn't have talent, man. I don't know, because it's just there's a lot of question marks, right? There's just a lot of question marks on both sides of the field. So the biggest question mark for me, outside of Fitzmagic, because I think if you put Tom Brady on the Washington football team, they're like the Super Bowl favorite. But we have a completely revamped Chargers offensive line. They went out there and they spent, right? They picked up Lindsley from the Packers, a center. They went out and drafted a lot of people's top tackles, surprisingly, over Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater, who had a really good game against Chase Young on tape. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So he's kind of proven that he can go up against some top dudes. That Chargers O-line, like, they graded pretty crap in pass pro. This is the big test right here. Is it actually improved? Or did you just, not that it is necessarily wasted, it's just you put the assets there, let's see if it pays dividends.
I think you will definitely see it play better than last year. 100%.
So I don't really know what I'm leaning in this game. I guess I do know what I'm leaning. The thing, Washington's team is freaking ridiculous. You look at every position, they've got players. Every position. And I'm not saying that like, oh, well, yeah, obviously they have players on the roster. Like, no. They have good players at every position.
Yeah. I think I would lean football team as well. I think Herbert's going to fall back down to earth a little bit, hit that sophomore slump. And it would just that kind of defense paired up. I know the O-line got better and might show moments of it. But I'm still taking that defense to prevail over that O-line.
All right. Next game. Little lasting impacts of COVID happening there. Sorry about that. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Buffalo Bills. My Pittsburgh Steelers against the Buffalo Bills. This is a game, Bills are definitely the popular pick, and you can just kind of point to the game last season for the reason why. Biggest question for me is two things. One, is Stephon Diggs just going to have another field day? Is Stephon Diggs just going to go out there and basically be unguardable, right? And number two, is this Steelers offensive line and running attack? Are we actually going to see something? I mean, you spent the first round pick in Najee Harris. You essentially replaced every single starter from the offensive line last year, like that was at least playing at the end of the year last year. Everyone's different. Whole new faces. Okay, is it just going to be the Ben show again? Are we just going to be like, hey, 39-year-old, 4-year-old Ben Roethlisberger, just go make some plays, just make it happen? Or are we going to be able to have some sort of balanced attack here with Matt Canada, creative run scheme where he's had run success at basically every stop he's been to so far? Is that going to translate here?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd like to see how Najee is in his first game. But, the Bills last year, it kind of flip-flopped from them from years prior where, like, their defense really carried them through games to where their offense was putting up crazy numbers and their defense was not as good. They invested some in their D-line. They got Ngabwe. Weren't they the ones that drafted Rousseau?
Yeah, they drafted Rousseau and I think Carlos Basham.
Boogie
Basham.
You would think their D-line would be better. Paired up with that Steelers new offensive line, like you said, it'd be interesting little mix to see, which side wins.
Well, the other thing too, though, is that I know that the second corner spot is kind of open for the Bills now that Norman left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how that's going to be filled. You know, they got a couple guys, Levi Wallace and Teron Johnson. No idea what that's going to look like necessarily. And the other thing too, though, is for the Steelers' run game, it's not even just Najee. Like Matt Canada's going to be doing some of that jet sweep, and we're probably going to see some shovel pass kind of crap, some creative stuff. Like, is that stuff going to work, or is it just going to be wasted plays, wasted looks?
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I don't know, because like the other thing too, though, going back to that second corner spot, is that this Bills secondary on paper is freaking tremendous. And we kind of saw that against the Ravens. That Bills secondary they made a lot of plays against the Ravens. I mean, they won them that football game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. They played much better in the postseason.
And that was a Ravens offense that was really hot, right? At the time, they were just going off. So we did see some pretty encouraging signs. You had a lot of talent up front. Okay, the other question I have before we move on from this game is, I had this question kind of at the end of last season, when the Bills lost, and I was kind of like, if you have that game where Stephon Diggs is not popping off, who's the next guy? Because I'm pretty sure at the end of last year, Cole Beasley was playing pretty nicked up. And I mean, yeah, you tried to add talent. You brought in Emmanuel Sanders. Gabriel Davis, I really like, and he's a young guy. Dawson Knox is another young guy that I like. You have some running backs and Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, good offensive line. And it's like, is one of these dudes outside of Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley gonna be like another? Because Cole Beasley's not that legit number 2. It's not like you can say, oh, well, we're gonna be like the Chiefs with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. We're gonna replicate that with Stephon Diggs and then Cole Beasley. Like, Cole Beasley's a good player. I think he's a great number 3. But you need another dude that's just a matchup hazard that's freaking annoying. And it's got to be one of these guys. So are you going to have that, or is it just going to kind of be like the same story as last year, where it's like, okay, Stephon Diggs, we need you to pop, and then Josh Allen make a crap ton of plays?
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting, because like I would think they would have like addressed that more in the offseason, but I think they were more focused on the defensive side. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It didn't really show up a lot of games. I just got that feeling seeing the Chiefs kind of just bully their receivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You shut down Stephon Diggs, double him the entire game, and it hurt. Cole Beasley wasn't able to do it. Dawson Knox wasn't able to do it last year. All the guys, they had a lot of young players on their offense, a lot of young receivers. So I'm not gonna say that they're screwed necessarily, but I want to see it happen. Let's go to the next game. This is a weird game. 49ers against the Detroit Lions week 1. People are definitely thinking that the Niners are just going to have their way with the Lions. And to be honest, I'm kind of getting that feeling too. I did not like the way that the Lions have looked really a lot of this preseason. I'm rooting for Dan Campbell and whatnot. It doesn't look great right now. It looks like your classic Lions. So first couple things is 49ers, the expectations are back. You had it. We all gave you the mulligan from last year because of the injuries, and you kind of got screwed by COVID, and okay, the quarterback situation, yada 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 yada. No excuses this year. Brandon Ayuk, we should see him take a step forward, or Deebo Samuel, one of those two dudes. You have George Kittle back, right? You drafted 2 running backs, and you still have Raheem Mostert. You got like 90,000 running backs. You still have a sicko line. You kept the band together. Defense, you get all your pass rushers healthy. Are we going to see you be a dominant team? Or are we going to kind of see what happened against the Cardinals last year where, yeah, we expected the Cardinals to be in the game and we expected to be good, but the Cardinals kind of just hung around, right? It's not even like the 49ers were getting outplayed. The Cardinals just made plays and the 49ers did. Are we just going to see you be dominant? Right? We haven't really seen the Niners be dominant since that Super Bowl run. I want to see them be dominant this game.
I like this is a game where you play in a really tough division and you get an easy week one on paper. Don't let these guys hang around. Like again, Dan Campbell is going to make these guys gritty. That's the vibe I get from them. Like they're going to play tough and they're going to play up to their competition. But you're the 49ers. Your team is stacked or too stacked to be letting these guys hang around. You got to. I kind of want to see a statement win because like the Niners, like you know, I love Shanahan. I love him, but like we've only seen that one season of dominance under him. Like I give him the benefit of doubt last year with all the injuries or so what.
Yeah, we gave him the pass. We gave him the pass.
But I won't. I want to see you if you're still legit. Like, are you still the team to beat in the West?
All right, and on the other front for the Lions, I'm not really expecting much out of the Lions. I guess you just kind of want to see some upside. But the one thing I do want to see from the Lions is you invested draft capital in your offensive and defensive line. You went and I agree with the strategy, right? You went and said, "Hey, I'm tired of getting beat up front. That was our problem, or at least one of our problems, definitely a major one. Let's improve. Let's just spend our entire draft class, all of our relevant picks until day 3 on offensive and defensive linemen." Are you going to get bullied? Because this San Francisco team is freaking nasty up front on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Are you going to get bullied, right? This is just going to be a battle of the trenches, right? If you're a big fan of offensive and defensive line play, this is the game that I want to see because who's going to win up front? I mean, it should be the Niners, but if the Lions are able to win up front, I don't really care if they lose by like 10 points. That is encouraging for me because the plan is working.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Vikings versus Bengals. This is a really, really fun game.
Yeah, this is funky.
I like this one a lot, right? So the first thing I want to see is the Bengals defense. And more specifically, their pass rush. And it also kind of works hand in hand because, like, what are we going to get from the Vikings offensive line here? A group that they have been sneakily investing a decent amount into. A lot of day 1 and day 2 draft capital into that offensive line. But the Bengals pulled out the pocketbook this season, right? They brought in that pass rusher, Henriksen or whatever his name is from the Saints. And I thought he was pretty good, but you paid him to be a number 1. You're easy to look good aside of Cam Jordan with that secondary. Paid him cash. You paid him to be a number 1. Is he a number 1? You bring in guys like Chidobe Awuzie and Mike Hilton in the secondary. Is your secondary just – I mean, I don't think that it was bad necessarily last year. It's just I'm not going to come out here and say that they were like anything above average. Like, are we going to see improvement at least? So big concern for me, Bengals defense, because if that's the whole Bengals season right there. I don't care what people want to say about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and their offense. If their defense is below average, they're fucked. And this is I mean the Vikings offense. I call them the Tennessee Titans of the NFC, right? They're nasty, and no one gives them that top tier credit.
Yeah, my question, stay on the defensive front is the Vikings defense. Are we going to see a defense that bad again under Zimmer?
Yeah, true.
And again, they drafted so many young defensive players to where, you're kind of hoping a couple pan out now. The thing is, when you look at the Bengals offense, they got so much talent in these receivers and Joe Burrow, of course, that it's going to be like, when you have to go up against Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and all this, I'm ready to see if the Vikings defense last year, was it just a fluke, like we were young, like it took us a while to figure it out, or are we just still bad?
Yeah.
I'm going to bet that they're not that bad again under Zimmer, especially just because of his track record. But I think this would be a good early tell sign of what kind of defense you're going to get from the Vikings this year.
So yeah, that kind of leeways into my big question as well for the Vikings is like, your strategy has kind of been, hey, let's trade down, let's just stack talent, let's just talent everywhere, let's just throw darts at the draft board. I think it's I like the strategy, right? You just bring in a crap ton of players.
Yeah.
Are we going to see that now? Are we going to see the depth pan out? Are we going to see this Vikings team have almost kind of like what the Cowboys had in like 2016, where it's like, okay, they didn't necessarily have like the star at pass rusher. I mean, they had that what's their star pass rusher's name?
Uh, oh no, I can't
DeMarcus
remember.
Lawrence.
Yeah,
Like they had
D-Law.
DeMarcus Lawrence, I'm pretty sure at the time as like the young guy, but
Oh
he
yeah, he's a
wasn't like
beast.
established. But they had like a squad of like 6 pass rushers.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that from the Vikings, where you kind of go from, oh, it's inconsistent youth play to, okay, now we have a bunch of guys up front that can all play, and we're giving them a nice rotation. They're all fresh. You have good linebackers. And then obviously at corner, right? Corner's been kind of a problem spot for you. You bring in Patrick Peterson. Can Patrick Peterson be that number one, right? Especially against the Bengals. You got a lot of receivers that you're going to have to go up against. So that's a really fun game. I'm definitely going to be tuning into that one.
Yeah, that's good.
Now we have Jets versus Panthers. Return of the Darnold. Oh, baby.
That is so crazy. The first team he has to play is the Jets.
Yeah, right. I like this game a lot. And the big one for me, speaking of Sam Darnold, is this Panthers offensive line against a pretty suspect Jets defense. Saleh, you can tell he tried to invest what little assets, not little assets, but like what little assets he had left after bringing in the necessary key pieces to your roster. He did try to bring in some pass rushers, and they had one dude get hurt, and then they brought in like Carl Lawson or something. They just traded for him.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, pass rush is pretty thin right now in New York, unsurprisingly. And the Panthers, like their offensive line has been suspect. Who's going to win up there? Because I think that might be a huge determining factor in who wins the game, because it's just kind of 2 weak spots, it seems like, right now for each club. Well, whoever wins there, I feel like is going to have a good chance of winning the game.
Yeah, I think that would be a good tell. Also, Zach Wilson, like in his first start, you're going to have to face that Panthers secondary that I think is very, very underrated. And Jeremy Chin, of course, J.C. Horn, even up front with Derek Brown, like they got some dogs on that defense.
I like that defense a lot.
So, like going up against them first time, I'm questioning, Darnold. Like he's got to be a little nervous for this game. He wants to show out and win this game to prove New York wrong. Like hey, it was the team, not me. Are you going to give it to us?
Speaking of Darnold, right? I think the biggest qualm that I had with Darnold when I did the Sam Darnold film analysis was his inability to stretch the field vertically. You watch those Jets games, and there were times where it was open. It's not like, oh, well, the Jets receivers just sucked ass. Like, dude, Jamison Crowder was actually pretty good. Like, low key. He was pretty nice. And Adam Gase would scheme things open occasionally, right? And it just wasn't being hit. The only time it was being hit was that game with Joe Flacco starting really against the Patriots, right? They were finally getting some things going there. But now you got no excuses, because Joe Brady, if there's one dude that's been the receiver production whisperer, it's been Joe Brady. Everywhere he goes and he touches, his receivers turn to gold.
Yeah.
And in return, like the quarterback gets some pretty good numbers. So are we going to kind of be able to see Sam Darnold stretch the field here? You have the tools to, especially DJ Moore. Right? I think he's one of the premier deep threats in the NFL right now. Terrace Marshall, he's looking pretty good. Robbie Anderson, Sam Darnold had 1,000 yards of him. Like, you got an offense that is like made and ready to get behind, right? To get the ball in the hands down the field. Let's see if Sam Darnold can do it.
Yeah, no, I if I had to lean someone, I'm leaning Panthers here. First of all, because I'm not taking the Jets, but like it is true about Joe Brady. Wherever he goes, he seems to be able to manufacture some good talent, and like your numbers are good as a result of it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Jets, like obviously I want to win football games, but I just want to see the team be competitive, and for our groups on both sides of the ball, like. Obviously, you're not striving to be average, but if in the first year of like your major overhaul, I guess kind of second year under your new GM, a little intrusion there. Like, are we gonna? I honestly forget what I was saying there. something about the Jets and their rebuild. Oh yeah, second year of the rebuild. I feel like it is kind of the first. I expect them to be kind of like the Josh Allen Bills from like 2 years ago, where hey, let's at least just go like 7-11 and be competitive.
Yeah,
Have a bunch
I
of close
think
games.
I think that would be a good building point for Salah, where you can, especially if Zach Wilson looks like he is the guy, then
Yeah,
you can really start building around that.
I just because I always kind of come back to Zach Wilson's start against Tennessee. That's one thing that I really liked about him was that start. If you watch that game, you're going to be like, dude, Zach Wilson did not look great, but he hung around and he put his team in a position to just hang around to eventually grab a win late against a team that's better than you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to say from Zach Wilson and the Jets. Is like, let's just hang around and be able to win the game. Because if you do that enough, you'll get some wins. And like, dude, once you add more talent, right? Because I'm pretty sure they still have upgraded draft capital and a bunch of cap space and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, then all the pieces start to fall into place. Your quarterback's on a rookie. Here's another great game: Cardinals against the Titans. This
Yeah.
is an interesting one, especially now because it feels like the Titans are finally starting to get some of the credit that they deserve. Bringing in Julio Jones, you have a lot of people that are really defending Ryan Tannehill this season, where he was kind of just looked at as
a game manager.
I think a little bit better than a game manager, but I feel like he was in the vein more. Oh, he's more of like a Kirk Cousins or a Matt Ryan than he is like one of those truly like legit quarterbacks. And now you look at his numbers and you look at his tape and how effective he is throwing the ball deep down the field on difficult throws. And you're like, well, shit, maybe he did warrant that 8th overall pick, and maybe he is one of the more elite quarterbacks in the NFL.
A late bloomer.
Speaking on that front, big matchup for me. Titans wide receivers against these Cardinals cornerbacks that are all new and they're all young. What's going to happen there? Because the Cardinals corners were nice last year. They were they were legit. Patrick Peterson and Vance Joseph had he put a lot of pressure on them to cover one-on-one, and you had Budda Baker who's just roaming around there everywhere. Like, dude, that secondary was nice, and now you have to replace it all. Are you going to be able to stop this stud Titans everything?
I would lean no, just based on them being new. Is this going to be prime Julio? No, but I still think Julio's good enough where he's going to make separation and just give AJ Brown a lot of one-on-one looks as well. And I love AJ Brown. I just think, even though they lost Arthur Smith, I still think this offense, even now, has more pieces and could be just a well-oiled machine ready to go.
And they have fake Sean McVay.
Yeah, they do have him.
Their offensive coordinator, no joke, I forget his name, but you can look him up online. We've pulled up his picture on the podcast before. Dude is literally a fake Sean McVay. He is a carbon copy of a new Sean McVay.
100%.
And they got him. Good for you. You got him. So what other keys do I have? Kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Like we were talking about the Cards corners. We can move to their up front, their front seven, which has had tremendous upgrades. You bring in the big one, JJ Watt. You bring in what's his name? That linebacker out of Tulsa that I like. Zaven Collins. I think that Zaven Collins is a freaking animal. So I'm excited to be able to see him play against a good Titans offense. So that's going to be interesting to see. And then the last major question I have for the Cardinals, it's almost all the questions are on the Cardinals because I feel like I know what we're going to get out of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, outside of their defense, can you tackle? Has the Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury relationship, the chemistry, the whole package, Kyler as a passer, has that, and will that take the next step to where they really need to be to compete in this tough division and to go from that fringe playoff team to being truly legit contenders? That's what I want to see.
Yeah. This is what I said in the offseason and then last year, because I thought they would be good enough last year to make the playoffs, and they were on the right track, but maybe I took them 1 year too early. I think this is the season now where it's like, hey man, you got to make the playoffs for me. Like you have to do it for me to buy into you. And I mean, you got the guys. I truly believe. I mean, I think they should be set. This game should be very competitive because Kyler's just he can control it by himself, but it is a really more of a question mark on how good the Cardinals are because we know how good Tennessee is. You know,
Yeah.
Tennessee at the end of the day is going to bring the thunder with Derrick Henry, and you know they're going to play competitive football and win majority of their games. Cardinals, you need to beat teams like this to be playoff caliber, and I think week one, starting when like you're not sure on everyone, it would be a great start this week. Just going it is beating Tennessee.
Yeah, and I just like even if they lose, like I want to see it because it felt like at the end of last year, you really did see Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, and honestly, not even you feel it, like you could watch it, right? I showed it on my Cardinals analysis. Like you can look from week 3 to week 9 and see how much more comfortable Kyler Murray is with the offense and as a passer. I like we just need to progress on that. That was the building block. Let's keep going up and up and up until, and let's see if Kyler Murray is like that MVP caliber guy. So now we get into definitely one of the more fun games of this week, and that is the AFC Championship rematch between the what or was it the divisional round? One of the two playoff rematch between the Browns and the Chiefs. Um, and the major question that I have lies on the Browns, and that is, can you make the big play? I really felt like when the Browns got going, obviously they were giving teams fits with all their tight end looks and running the ball, and Baker Mayfield is really being efficient as a passer, not turning the ball over, playing well. But in that playoffs, you just couldn't get the big play. Especially in that Chiefs game, you just really couldn't manufacture that big play to turn the momentum in the game heavily into your favor.
Yeah.
Can you do that this time around? Because now you got OBJ back, and that's the guy you think is going to do it. If you need a big play, you think it's going to be that guy. So can you do it?
Dude, I really want to see the Browns win this one because
Browns fan, Steed.
yeah, like I'm just gonna Browns fan this one. What I like about the Browns coming in this year, because they're what the 2 years ago you had the Super Bowl hype. Then last year it was kind of like, oh well, we don't really care about the Browns now. And then all of a sudden they're good. Now coming into this year with all the additions, to one of the better rosters in the NFL, I think on paper, it like people are giving them a little bit of credit. Like yeah, they could win that division. Yeah, they could. I like where they're at. Like the big play, they just got to let it happen. I still like just lean on Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You got the best two. You got the best duo tandem there. And then, this time around, you got Odell. If Odell can make a couple big plays, you traded him for that kind of, to make big plays.
Yeah, to be that prototypical X guy that's going to vertically stretch the field and come up with a couple of big catches.
Because I have no doubt that Baker can do that. Like if you give him the opportunity for a big play, he'll complete it. And then on the Chiefs side, I mean, there's not much to say about the Chiefs because they're just so damn good.
Like you know what's going to happen with the Chiefs. I think you were saying to me that Tyrann Mathieu apparently is on the injury report. So
if he doesn't play, that's huge.
Yeah, that's massive for the Browns if he doesn't play, because I feel like that defense really ran through Tyrann Mathieu last year. So
it definitely
the
takes
only
a drop.
question mark you really have for the Chiefs, I guess, the meta one that everyone's gonna be like, oh, the offensive line, dude. They
The offensive line will be
revamp
fine.
that group. Like I think that offensive line is just gonna be ridiculously good.
Yeah,
so
I'm not
I don't
worried
even
about
care
that.
about that. To me, it's the defensive line because the Chiefs couldn't really generate pressure without blitzing last year. I don't have the numbers, but I mean, you look at every third down, they're just doing these crazy looping blitzes and crap, doing anything they can to get extra guys and numbers advantage against the quarterback, and it did work. But like, are you just gonna be able to generate pressure in other ways than just creatively bringing pressure, and especially against the Browns offense where dude, they pass block well. I mean, they do everything well. That offensive line is probably the best in the league and the most complete. I guess the only other question mark for the Chiefs is like, can Mecole Hardman step up, or can Edwards-Helaire kind of be the first round talent then you draft him to be, or is it just going to kind of be the Mahomes show with Kelsey and Hill again?
I think I'm just leaning more on the Mahomes show, but I am expecting big things out of Clyde, though. I think Clyde will have a fine second year. If I have to rely on Mecole Hardman, like
I think you're fucked.
yeah, like I don't think he's going to be a factor at all. Maybe like returning kicks.
All right, so we got next game, battle of the Alabama quarterbacks here. Divisional game, Dolphins versus Patriots. This is a fun one. And you get obviously the Brian Flores, Bill Belichick matchup again.
Mm-hmm.
A whole lot of blood shared between these two teams. It feels like a whole lot of like family connections, right? So the big thing I want to see is this new Patriots front seven, man. I've been saying it all off season. They talk about a team that brought up the pocketbook.
Yeah.
They completely bought a completely new front seven. They went from like their best front seven player last year being Chase Winovich to Chase Winovich basically being relegated to like a rotational pass rusher. So like you have a completely new team on your front seven. And just kind of like on the contrary, how in command is Tua now? The offense, you have no Fitz magic to sub out Tua for. Like
He's the guy.
He's the guy. Are we going to see him be the guy?
I think those are two really big lines. I also like this game is perfect for week one because the Patriots moved this off season. I love those moves. The Dolphins, not so much. I wasn't in love with what they did this off season. So you get a tale of two tapes there. I'm excited to see Mac Jones. Hopefully he plays up to all the hype that we've given him. The battle of the two Bama quarterbacks. I still like the Patriots in this game. I think it's a better roster, better coach. I'd even say a better quarterback. It's going to be. It's going to be an interesting game because that Dolphins defense is underrated. They're a sleeper. They create a lot of points for their offense. See if they can continue to keep doing that. But other than that, it should be a very competitive game.
All right, so we have who do we have next? We have a couple of games left. We have Broncos versus Giants. This is an interesting one because it's like two elite defenses matching up against each other. Two teams with questionable quarterbacks. They both have a lot of offensive talent. So to me, it's almost like, okay, well, which offense is just going to score 20 points? It feels like one of those kinds of games where it's like, dude, if we score 20, we can win. As long as we don't turn the ball over a bunch of times. Like, just scored 3 times. It's 3 times in the game, we win. Well, who's the team going to be?
Yeah, I have that same feeling with this one. Dude, I don't know.
Who's going to win? Or just like what's the I don't know.
I don't know. This is Broncos and Giants, right?
Yeah, Broncos Giants.
I'm ready. My I don't know is Daniel Jones. I want to see if he's this is a good defense. He's going up. I want to see that first round pick on you. I want to see you play up to that.
I agree. I don't think there's much in this one that's necessarily out of the ordinary. I guess let's see if the Giants offensive line can kind of keep up some of the momentum that they were building at the end of last year when you had guys like Wayne Gallman really running well. Now that you have a healthy Saquon, dude, you get the blocking that Wayne Gallman had at the end of last season. We should see Saquon explode.
He should have a huge season, with that talent.
So it's like, okay, where's the what's the running game going to be for New York? Yeah, other than that, I feel like we know what we're going to get out of the Broncos. I feel like you know what the Broncos are. They're the kind of team that they're going to be that fringe playoff scrappy kind of a team that if you take them lightly, they're going to beat you. And against those elite level teams, they're just going to come up short because they don't have that true elite level quarterback, and their offense is good. They have a lot of good weapons, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to carry them against the truly elite teams.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a fun one, though. We have Packers-Saints. Primetime game. So
On
there are
Fox, right?
tons of
Yeah.
question marks in that one because you have the Patriots after that clown fiesta of an offseason. Like, was that a distraction? Are you going to come out here slow, or does that not matter? I don't really think it matters, to be honest. I think that we're going to see the Packers kind of come out fast here. And then the Saints. Dude, like, Jameis is back. Like, Jameis is back? Crab legs?
I'm buying full back into Jameis under Sean Payton. I think he can put up some numbers with him, and you'll see the pick numbers go down because when did Drew Brees ever throw a pick? It seemed like maybe besides that playoff game against the Bucs. But Jameis has that ability to be able to throw down downfield. Sucks that Michael Thomas, slant boy, isn't playing. Like to see that little hookup. But again, like the Saints lost a little bit of their roster, had to make some cuts because of salary cap. Are we going to get a rebuilding Saints? Or are we going to still get a Saints team that's trying to compete? I'm more towards like they're going to try to compete and win this game. So I wouldn't count them out as like a spoiler here for the Packers. But I'm on the same page as you. I think all that drama with Rodgers and Packers, like it's not going to translate to the field because Aaron Rodgers is going to want to show that front office, be like, all right, this is why you should have damn extended me and given me more money or like done it my way and give me more weapons because I'm about to show you what the MVP does.
All right, so I guess how's Taysom Hill going to be used? Are we going to see any red zone Taysom Hill kind of crap in this football game? Are we going to see the Saints defense just be studs? I really like this game. So then we have another game. We have
the Sunday night game,
Bears
right?
Rams, right?
Yeah,
it's Bears Rams. So, okay, clearly we have the new additions for the Rams. Matt Stafford is here. He's shown up. Sorry, I'm also doing an auction draft right now, which is kind of tough.
Yeah, I'm doing a draft too. I just got Chubb.
So, yeah, I might bid on McCaffrey here. Now, McCaffrey's going for a ton. So you did the auction draft last week, which is kind of fun. Bears Rams, where were we? Let's just restart Bears Rams. Okay, so obviously Bears Rams. Rams new offense. Matt Stafford is here. I think that we're going to see the Rams try to become the offense that they had back like 2018, where that was much more of an offense that their passing attack threatened you vertically, right? They're stretching defenses. It felt like with Goff, for a bunch of reasons, right? Because they've had some offensive line inconsistencies. When they're fully healthy, they're pretty good, but it's like week to week, depending on what kind of offensive line you're going to get from this team. And now you have a ton of receivers here because you bring in Tutu Atwell, Deshaun Jackson, you still have Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Like, you have a whole plethora of talented receivers. Like, it feels like we're going to see they bring in Matt Stafford, great arm, great quarterback, over the top, baby. Let's start moving this football.
Yeah, dude, like just talking on Sunday night, I'm more excited to see the Rams and Matthew Stafford actually play for a really good team now, but I don't want to see the Bears because I'm not high on the Bears this year, Like, is their defense going to be able to keep them in some games? Yeah, but, like, I don't want to see, the Red Rifle and play on Sunday night, unless Fields gets in. That'd be interesting. But I kind of feel like this is a walk in the park for the Rams. Like, you're going to see them make some.
I think that's a little bit harsh on the Bears there.
Is it? Like, do the Bears
the Bears defense is still legit. They'll keep them in that football game. At least you hope as a Bears.
Yeah, you would hope, but like,
I mean, I guess that's the other question, right? Like, is this Bears defense going to be that defense that we saw, especially at the beginning of last season, where it's like everyone is struggling to move the ball on them, right? Even the Bucs couldn't really move the ball on them. Like, they stifled the Saints, who were a pretty good offense last year, right? Like, they were giving a lot of teams fits.
Well, I think more the question is the Bears offense, can Nagy produce enough points to win a game. You know,
They did at the end of last year. Mitchell
he did,
Trubisky, the truth was on fire. David Montgomery couldn't be stopped.
but I think Trubisky, just with his running capability, sets the defenses on the edge a little bit more than Andy Dalton, where he's just going to sit in the pocket.
I don't know. I think Andy Dalton, people are gonna say, "Oh, well, that's the major question mark." Not really. I feel like I know exactly what I'm getting out of Andy Dalton.
No, I know what I'm getting out of him.
Average quarterback.
I know what I'm getting out of him. I'm just saying,
I do
is
think
it enough?
I think that people are underrating Andy Dalton's ability, because if you put him in an offense that he's comfortable with and an offense that has talent, I think that they're going to be better than people expect.
I mean, I'm not counting out that defense. I know the defense will keep it competitive, but we're both high on the Rams. And with Matthew Stafford, just I know it might be new system, new team, but I don't think that's going to affect him pretty much. I'm pretty sure he's ready to go. He knows he can put up numbers in this offense. I think the only thing that sucks is they don't have Cam Akers.
Bang! Just picked up a Keenan Allen. Let's ride.
Nice, good pick.
Okay, so we have the last game. It's Ravens versus Raiders. Man, you talk about a crazy matchup. I hate this game for the Raiders, to be honest. I do not like this matchup for the Raiders at all. I listen. I don't think that I'm not counting the Raiders out.
It's just early season Raiders, man.
I'm just scared that the Raiders' run defense is going to get destroyed. That's what I'm scared of. Their defense couldn't stop anything last year, and especially at the end of last year. You could do whatever the hell you wanted.
Yeah,
you could run,
really good.
You could pass. Oh, who'd you want to throw it to? The receiver, the running back? Oh, how about a little tight end action?
Yeah, it was like you're playing backyard football out there.
It's just dude, when you went against the Raiders defense last year, you're licking your chops because guess what? I'm boosting those stats for the contract.
But I mean,
they brought a lot of new faces. Yannick Ngakoue they brought in. They brought in Casey Hayward, new DC. Are we going to get anything different? It's a question, right? Can it get worse?
I don't think it can get worse. It's definitely trending more up. I would feel because they have invested in it. But the thing is, if it is a shootout, I think the Raiders can compete in a shootout because their offense is that good to me, Yeah. And that's why, if you want to bet something on this, take a look at the over and just hammer that.
Oh, this is Monday night too, right? Raiders Monday night over. Has the over ever missed in that scenario? Raiders and Monday night.
They always play on Monday night the first week, don't they?
Yeah, right. What's up with that?
It seems like it, don't it?
I like it. I'm all for it. I like watching the Raiders.
I do too.
I'm not doubting the Raiders. I just want the Raiders to win, and am so scared that defense is just going to get torched.
But think about this also, and I'm saying this is why the Ravens, this is not a shoe-in win for them. I don't care if the Raiders defense ends up being as bad as it was last year, is that this is a home game for the Raiders, and they have fans back in that stadium for the first time. That place is going to be rocking. Vegas is going to be lit that week. And I think that's going to be kind of a playoff atmosphere. And, if we know anything about Lamar, he doesn't really show up in the playoffs.
Well, that is one thing. That was a point that I was going to bring up more on the picks video, is that I'm not sure I'm going to be taking a whole lot of road teams early. Well, mainly just week one, because dude, these stadiums, week one every year is pretty hype, right? You got fans are excited, football's back, but football is super back because it's been 2 years, right, since people could really pack the stands. So if we see some packed stands, dude, these atmospheres are going to be crazy. So
you saw it in college football this week.
Teams that have good coaching, good communication, stuff like that. I'm definitely going to be taking that more into account. than
Yeah,
I
you
would
have to.
normally. Last question I have really from this game is, speaking of run defense, the run defense for the Ravens, low key was not as great as you would think from your Ravens defense last year. It was definitely a little bit of a weak spot. Um, and I mean, the Raiders, right? This is a team that tries to run the football a lot. They're going to pound the rock. Josh Jacobs is going to get his carries. And then the last thing is just these Ravens receivers, right? You invested a ton. Are you going to have a terrible receiving core again?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you just going to basically ask, hey, Mark Andrews and the running game to go carry us?
Yeah, it'd be. I think that's gonna be a fun game to see.
So with that, that is our game previews. All said and done for week one. So like I said before, we're going to have the picks be coming out later in the week. But we also had some college football to react to. And the first thing I know you definitely want to bring up is UCLA.
Oh, dude, how about him?
You liked UCLA. Hold on,
Yeah,
I gotta nominate someone too. I'll nominate Devonte Adams. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna nominate him for like $20. But yeah, UCLA. Back on topic. That running back. First off, I want to talk about Zach Charbonnet.
oh, he's good.
He looks like an animal. I love how hard he runs, dude. You talk about a guy that just keeps his feet churning through runs. Holy smokes. That dude, his feet never stop.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about UCLA and like why I think they were getting slept on is like Chip Kelly hadn't been winning there, right? But you got to understand, like he brought back everybody. I mean, these are 4 years. Like he's been there for 4 years. These are guys he recruited. They've been in his system, so they have an understanding now. I didn't understand how LSU was favored in that. Like, and also us thinking LSU is not going to be is kind of a bait team. Congrats, they won the Natty and had like a tremendous team 2 years ago. But like, again, like that was a stacked ass team. Like, is Coach O really a good coach, or is he more just like a good locker room guy that can like control his players? And I think you got to kind of tell that where like UCLA's for real and LSU might need to take a step back. And Pac-12 is wide open. You saw Oregon struggle with Fresno State. I'm not in love with them. I'm never in love with
USC
Oregon.
I'm pretty sure they had some early struggles as well, whoever they played. I forget who they
They
played.
played San Jose State, but they did cover, which I was honestly shocked about.
Yeah, they picked it up. Like, they definitely showed
they were
up.
struggling at first, but like they did end up like kind of just controlling that whole game. But San Jose State's a top 25 school, or top 30, and they played well. But I mean, UCLA could make a run at this.
I've liked what I've seen from UCLA, and then they have that quarterback Dorian Thompson Robinson. That's his name. He's got a tripler with a hyphen. You talk about a crazy name. He's fun to watch. He's really fun to watch, making plays. And man, I don't know why, and it's not great for you as like a legit quarterback prospect or whatever, but when you see those dudes that when they throw the ball, it is just a full-on wind up. Dude, that ball is like touching his knee when he winds up to throw it.
It's like little Tebow.
Yeah, right? Like, but that's fun. Because I remember, like, obviously Brett Favre, like he's one of the quarterbacks that I kind of grew up watching, especially later in his career. Man, he would let that ball drop so much, but it's just, I don't know why, it's just fun to watch. It's just satisfying to look at, especially when you get a nice driven throw, tight spiral. Man, I'm definitely going to be tuning into a lot of UCLA games. And I mean, I'll give you credit where credit is due, because this is a team that you liked kind of coming into the season that I was definitely colder on. And man, they've showed up.
Oh yeah, they're playing great, and they got a statement win early against an SEC team.
I
And
don't
kind
think
of
LSU is all that bad, too.
no, LSU will be a solid 7-5, 8-4 team. I still think Ole Miss is better than them. If you want to talk about Ole Miss, and I mean, dude, like Ole Miss goes as far as Matt Corral goes, and the way they looked on Monday night. I mean, if their defense is just competent, they'll put a fight up in the West too. But unless you have other topics, I was going to
Well, I
talk
just
about.
wanted to a couple like Keyshawn Butte on LSU. I like that guy. He's a
Oh, the
beast.
receiver? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's really good.
LSU develops receivers. Great school if you want to be a first round pick at receiver.
What did you want to go into?
I was just going to talk about, like, I don't want to say this because I'm still all Aggies, but dude, if Ole Miss had to play Texas A&M,
You're taking Ole Miss. You're really Matt Corral all the way, baby.
I think I was like kind of hesitant on Matt Corral. Now I'm kind of buying into the hype, and that dude, they're gonna average 40 something points a game. It's gonna be crazy.Maybe not against Bama because it's Bama, but Texas A&M struggled against Kent State, like struggled bad, and it
It's
kind of
week 1 though, dude. I wouldn't. If you see it again next week, cause for concern. Week 1, I like fans again in the state. It's weird, right? It's and it's week 1 in general. Fans in the stands are not, right?
yeah.
I'm not going to judge a team off a week 1 win or a week 1 loss necessarily. I mean, we're a football podcast. We have to make judgments about everything. Speaking of making judgments about everything, well, Bama has not missed a step, it looks like.
I mean, it looks like reason why Bryce Young had what are they called? NITs, NTIs, whatever.
Yeah,
He was getting
getting
six
paid the
figures.
sponsorship cash or
Yeah, there was a
whatever.
reason why, and that dude. I mean, against Miami, top 25 school, but like you got your top 25 school, and then you got Bama, and it just looked like that was a walk in the park. I was on 18.5 Bama. It finally like settled at 20 because I figured it was going to keep going up, so I snagged it when I could. But I mean, you were safe picking that up at probably 28. Like, are they going to be as good as last year? I think their defense, though, Bama's defense is going to be better than it was last year.
You think
That's
so?
that's what I've been hearing, that their defensive unit is better than it was last year, and that's scary because their offense looked like it didn't miss a beat.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily, because I feel like the Bama defense, not that it's been weak, it's just, you think about like some of these Bama teams in recent memory, right? Defense was nasty. It does feel like Georgia has kind of taken over as like the defensive SEC team.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into them in a couple minutes here, but one thing I have to say about this Bama team, their tackles, offensive tackles, right and left tackles, are unfair, ridiculous. What the hell? Dude, I'm watching this game against Miami, and I am seeing these dudes. It looks like they're like, the memes where it's like the kid that shows up to put the Pop Warner way in, and he's like, yeah, I'm 13, and he's like 6'6", like 240. That is actually the Bama tackles in college football.
Yeah, it's unfair. The size difference. It's crazy.
The size, the power, the speed. These guys would be sick in the NFL.
I mean, dude,
No doubt in my mind.
Do you think Bama could beat Houston?
I'm fucking taking them. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me with those tackles? You're not.
I think they could.
Dude, Bryce Young, I don't even know why he needs to move. It feels like he's just rolling out of the pocket because he's like, oh, well, it's just like I'm playing football. I should be moving, right? Like, dude, if he just stood still, no one's touching him. Not with those guys blocking for him. It's ridiculous. Actually unfair.
Dude, and another thing about Bryce Young, because I was able to watch the second half of that game, is that first start really, like, yeah, he played a little bit last year in blowouts. He just looked so comfortable, it just like came naturally to him. I don't know if that's just like the way Saban's able to get these Bama players, it's always like next man up, and it's kind of like a Belichick kind of way, where like it doesn't matter who comes in the system, but they always perform. But Bryce Young, I mean, there's a reason why they were saying, dude, he's talented. He's got a lot of talent. I was more impressed by his poise than anything else.
Yeah, he looked comfortable. He looked really comfortable playing. Let's touch, because we are starting to run out of time here. Let's touch on that UGA Clemson game.
God, that was boring.
Interesting game. I don't want to classify, because I don't think it was necessarily a boring game.
I mean, I was
wish a
into
little
it.
bit more happened, I guess, in
I wanted
terms
a
of
little
like
more
interesting
offense.
play. Yeah, I wish a little bit more offense happened, but I wouldn't say that that was a boring football game because it definitely was really interesting. Um, man, did that UGA defense, every defense in general, ridiculous, dude. Those defenses looked insane. Holy
Hmm.
smokes. Just flying all over the field, guys making plays left, right, and center. No one can move the football. Dude, that UGA defense is insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kirby Smart's always going to have a good defense, and they look really well. I was impressed by the secondary as well because they lost like pretty much everybody from last year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, the new guys played pretty well. Um, Also, on top of that, I think Clemson's O line's the problem. I truly do. I think Clemson's going to run into problems in the ACC when they play teams like at NC State that has like a reputation of having good D line. Um,
I was
you know,
thinking more like a Virginia Tech with the secondary
or
because I liked what I saw out of Virginia Tech from week one out of that secondary and that defense. I think that because that was a secondary and a defense that gave Trevor Lawrence some trouble last year.
mhm.
And freaking, I don't know how to say the guy's name. I've heard it pronounced 80 different ways.
Ukulele,
Ugalele. Dude,
ukulele.
the announcers are saying his name, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know what they're saying. It does not sound like a word. So I'm sorry but I can't pronounce it. I give up. You win. Um,
Ukulele.
but he did not look ready to play that football game.
Oh
He
no,
he
he
just did
was.
not.
It looked like and he's played in a big game before. He played in that Notre Dame game last year against whenever T Law
Well,
had
honestly,
COVID.
not even did Ugalele not look ready. The Clemson offense did not look because their receivers couldn't separate. They couldn't run the ball. Like, I'm not going to put it all on the young quarterback, which I think a lot of people are. Like, listen, he didn't play well, obviously, but my God, that they got their lunch taken from them hard. Georgia showed
Yeah,
up and said, "Say uncle," right? Like,
I think at the end of the day, Georgia's defense just wanted more, and Clemson's defense did a really good job of keeping them in the game. You got to remember, there wasn't a single offensive touchdown in that game. That game should have been 3-3 if Ukulele doesn't throw a pick six.
yeah,
I mean, we're talking about a barn burner of a game here. And, on top of that, a guy like Georgia's really high on. I know their fans are saying JT Daniels is Heisman. He's going to be a first round pick. Dude, that dude didn't look good at all. Like, are we like
yeah.
kidding?
I was
Like,
not. I
I don't
wasn't
think he
huge
made a
into him.
couple. He made a couple throws that didn't get caught that like I thought were decent placement and might be because like Georgia is missing a couple receivers, especially in George Pickens,
Mm,
and maybe that's it. Maybe the receiving room's not as talented as they think, but still, like it just didn't seem. I will say Georgia's running backs though. I mean, they got three of them over there. You got Zamir White, you got Mackenzie Melton. That no, not Mackenzie Melton. That's
no, that's not Florida State quarterback. We can
yeah.
talk about him because he was
Oh,
not a
he
guy that
almost
wasn't
won
even
it.
supposed to play football again. And holy crap, he playing well for Florida State. That was really fun to see.
Yeah, I took FSU plus 7.5, and I thought it was dead in
Oh,
water. And then
nice.
here comes Milton out of nowhere, just chucking the pill. That was fun to see though. It's good. Hopefully, he's the starter from here on out.
Um, but yeah, I think if Pickens plays that game, I think UGA blows him out. To be honest, if Pickens
Mm-mm.
plays,
I don't know
um,
if they blow him out. It's
maybe not
just
blow him out. That's not. I think that Pickens scores though. We see a freaking offensive touchdown.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Pickens would have created a big play somewhere along the way.
But yeah, man, we really saw that Georgia, like, dude, every year their number one recruiting class, and that was a team win for Georgia because that was both offenses can't move the ball. What team is going to win? What team is going to show up and just enforce their will? And it was Georgia.
Hmm.
Um,
That was
okay,
a good win for him.
we can
I
get
don't
into
think they
some of
need
the
to be crying.
quarterback play. We're going to be talking about the quarterbacks every week, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but Sam Howell struggled. A guy that
That
I
doesn't
mean, the
surprise
whole
me.
UNC team, we were just like, listen, man, we are not buying
That
into
team
UNC.
That team does not deserve to be. Well, they're not ranked 10 anymore, but didn't deserve it.
Yeah, that was just. I mean, listen, we called it. I'm gonna give us credit where credit is due, but like we saw that exact kind of scenario happening where they come up and they struggle early and they end up being. I'm not saying they can't be ranked, but top 10, no shot. So Sam Howell definitely struggled a little bit. Spencer Rattler struggled a little bit for Oklahoma, the Oklahoma quarterback. Because I think Spencer Rattler is good, I'm going to say this does not matter.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Rattler.
You know,
I'm not worried about Rattler.
no, but we saw Rattler kind of get last year off to a slow start, shake off some of the even for Sam Howell, a guy that I'm not as high on. Um,
I blame the Tulane coming back more on Lincoln Riley than anything.
mm-hmm.
Because he's done that in the past where you get a comfortable lead and he just lets off on the gas, and then oh shit, we got a game, He's done that in the past, and if you lose Tulane, I mean Oklahoma would have been a meme at that point, but I don't know. Like out of all the quarterbacks that are looking to go in next year, I fell in love with Carson Strong in that Nevada game.
Oh, dude, I love Carson Strong. Carson Strong is my dude. Like that guy, I liked him a lot coming into the season. He was like him, Jaden Daniels are probably like my two. Him, Jaden Daniels, and that UCF quarterback. What's his name? Dylan Gabriel. Those were
Mm-hmm.
like the guys I was like, yeah, above consensus. And I guess the Boston College kid, Phil Yurkovec. I'm like, those guys are the guys that I definitely like more than consensus. And Carson Strong just showed up. We saw that deep ball that he was showing all last year. And man, he looked freaking phenomenal. I think, like, listen, I'm putting he's a first round pick. I think he's a first round pick.
I think if push came to shove and we went through all the draft process now, the end of the season, and we went straight into the draft process, Carson Strong would probably get one. It would be either him or Rattler.
Yeah.
And Rattler just based off his talent.
I like Carson Strong a lot. I'm not sure how well his game will translate to the NFL, but dude, I think he's a really good player.
He fits anywhere. He can fit somewhere. Like
he's just that more traditional kind of pocket passer.
Right? I think like this might be Homer, but I think he would fit well in the Falcons.
I think he would. Well, he's not like a tradition. He's just not mobile, right? He can throw on the move. He's just not going to be evading guys.
Yeah.
But I like him a lot. I think that he's legit. So I think that's where we're going to cut it here. We could go on for hours, man. But
so much.
We'll be back with the picks video. I'm not sure if Steed's going to be on that, but I'll be relaying the picks no matter what. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. I'm going to have to finish up this auction draft. I think I just accidentally bid on a guy that I didn't want and won him, unfortunately.
Nice. I got to finish this draft too, dude. My team's looking nice.
So yeah, if you're doing your last minute drafts as well, good luck in your last minute drafts and whatnot. We got football tomorrow or today or yesterday for whenever you're listening. But thank you so much for listening. Peace out.
Peace.